Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today, I got an awesome top deck for you. This one placed number 2, so a top 10 deck for you in queue today. So before we go ahead and check out the deck, we're going to talk about the main board. We'll talk about the sideboard. We'll talk about how we pull those together and how to guide for sideboarding for best of 3. And then we'll go play some Mythic Magic here in both best of 1 and best of 3 today. Now, quickly, before we cover this historic deck, Planeswalkers, I just want to say thank you. I truly appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Stay up to date on daily content like this. Other ways to support the channel down below in the description by becoming a patron or a YouTube member. Additionally, Planeswalkers, I do have my Untap profile there for you so that you can follow my journey and you can share yours with the companion app there for you as well. All right, let's go ahead and check out today's top deck. We have a number 2 ranked Jund Sacrifice deck, my friends. So this is a very, very powerful archetype. Has definitely seen its prominence and comeback after Kaladesh. We'll talk about a couple of those things here today because it is definitely of importance and makes a big difference on what's going on here in the current meta. Now, quickly, if you do have questions or comments or want to skip ahead, please let me know down below. I have timestamps down there in the description for you. And additionally, there's also a server there as well if you want to hop into the Discord and hang out. This particular deck is by the player of JS2, so congratulations JS2 on hitting rank 2 for the December season here. Now, this deck is all about the sacrifice. That is the key archetype. So first off, in terms of nomenclature, we have Jund, which is green, red, and black, or black, red, and green, whatever way I like to say it. And those 3 colors on our magic wheel here give us the Jund color. So again, that's swamp, also mountains and forests to give us that. Now, the sacrifice component here, we're going to use Mayhem Devil to kind of give us a preview, but here whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. So everything really revolves around that mechanic, and something will happen with that. So this deck primarily excels kind of in the mid-range spot. It's about locking down the early game with different trickery potentially, or just stalling out, and then getting to that mid-range game and providing a lot of chip damage. And this particular deck does have a couple late game hammers or mid-game hammers that will definitely close the loop for you. So very excited to be playing this for you today. We're going to quickly fly by at 10,000 feet here and look at the deck in its totality, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about each of these key cards and components of the deck. So first off here, we got Cauldron Familiar adding to our Little Oven Cat Oven combo here. When this creature enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life, we gain 1, so a nice little siphon. We can sacrifice a food, return Cauldron Familiar from a graveyard to the battlefield. Then we have Fatal Push. So this is the first big pickup that we get out of Kaladesh. It's very powerful. It's one of the things that helped get this deck back to where it is today. The ability to destroy a creature at instant speed for cost 2 or less, and then folding into the sack umbrella, we're going to be much easier at triggering Revolt here, where we can then destroy target creature or that creature if its converted mana cost is 4 or less instead, if a permanent we control left the battlefield. So a very, very nice addition here and pickup in Kaladesh. Then we got good old Thoughtseize. Again, this card's coming from Amonkhet Remastered here. Target player reveals their hand. We choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. We lose 2 life. So very important in terms of early game disruption, in terms of allowing us to see what our opponents have. And then we have Gilded Goose. This 0/2 flyer enters, creating a food token for us, and we can tap it for 2 and create a food token, or we can tap and sacrifice food and gain 1 mana of any color to our mana pool. Now, here's what a food token is as well. So again, it's a token artifact. You can pay to tap and sack this artifact, and you'll also gain 3 life. Then the other part of the Witch's Oven here, or cat oven, we got Witch's Oven. Here we can tap the sacrifice creature. We'll create a food token. If the creature that we're sacrificing's power or toughness was greater than 4, we get to create 2 food tokens instead. Then we have Scavenging Ooze. I like this as a one-off in this deck. It's really helpful against Rogues decks. It's helpful against the Auras decks, Luris decks, also the Mirror Match, also the Coco decks, Jund Coco decks, also so many things. Also the Rakdos Sack and Rakdos Arcanus. So I'm a huge fan of the Skoos, as many of you already know. Here again, this creature, we can exile target card from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, put a +1/+1 counter on Scavenging Ooze, and we gain 1 life. Then we go into a huge draw engine for us, a big component again, Trail of Crumbs. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, we create a food token. Whenever we sacrifice a food, we may pay 1. If we do, we get to look at the top 2 cards of our library. We get to reveal a permanent card from among them, put it into our hand, and put the rest on the bottom of in our library in any order. Then we got Midnight Reaper, so another draw engine for us. Whenever a non-creature we control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to us, and we draw a card. And then we already talked about Mayhem Devil, a huge piece here to holding down the fort. We have Corvold, Fae of the Curse King. So here's one of the top ends, great finishing for us. Legendary creature, Dragon Noble. It's got flying. Whenever this creature enters the battlefield or attacks, we get to sacrifice another permanent. And then whenever we sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on Corvold and draw a card. So very, very powerful there. Last but not least, we got Bolas' Citadel. A great card for More of the Spark. If you guys watched my match the other day with the Sultai midrange, we lost in our best of 3 lineup to another version of Bolas' Citadel. It's pretty interesting. Very close. We were very close in the best of 3 match. To give you another flavor, but here what Bolas' Citadel does is it is a legendary artifact. We may look at the top card of our library any time. We may play land cards and cast spells from the top of our library. If we cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its cost. And then again, we can tap out here with sacrificing 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent's going to lose 10 life. So very, very powerful, great way to really close out a match for us. And then all the lands, and one quick call out here, we do pick up Blooming Marsh as well from Kaladesh. Very, very important here for the smoothing out of the land. And then additionally, we do have 25 lands, so something to keep in mind there as well. All right, so that is the main board, Planeswalkers. We'll go ahead now and take a look at the sideboard here, because we got a lot of options to go through. So first off, we got Bloodchief's Thirst, a card that's a sorcerer speed 1 that destroys target creature or planeswalker with converted mana cost 2 or less. If it's kicked, it's any destroy target creature or planeswalker. So very, very powerful. I would play this against quick decks like Goblins. I also would play this against other creature-based decks in the aggro lineup. So that could be Auras, both Orzhov and UW, mono red aggro. It's good against Gruul aggro. Also Neostorm, a good one to play there as well. Additionally, not bad against Rakdos Arcanus or potentially mono blue tempo, and also the other sack variations. Plus any of the Kaladesh decks, the energy deck, Temur Energy, or even the vehicles deck. So there's a couple more for you. Then we got Thoughtseize here. So you're going to play this against kind of the mid-range or late-game decks. It's decent in the mirror match. It's obviously great against aggro still too. You can play it and get it Muxus out. We do have some main board obviously, but you're going to get more value out of it in some of the other matchups like the UW Azora stack by Brad Barkley, so something to keep in mind. Other control decks like the Dimmer decks as well. Also helpful after this going in the first sideboard if they're going to try and shut you down with things like Leyline or potentially Grafdiggers, so some things to keep in mind. Then we have Noxious Grasp. So here we got an instant speed that destroys target creature or planeswalker that's green or white. We gain 1 life. Really good against the Sultai mid-range matchup. Really good against the mirror matchup. Great against the mono-white life gain decks. Great against elves as well, and also great against any of those planeswalkers like Nissa or Teferi there in some of those lineups. Then we have Ember Shieldbreaker. So this destroys target artifact in terms of its adventure that it has. And then additionally, we got a 2/1 human knight creature. I would play this against most decks, actually, probably in the sideboard turn, the first one, if they're going to run Graph Diggers, or if they're mainboarding Graph Diggers, you can play this. It works great against Great Henge, any decks that might be playing that. Also against decks that are going to be playing monocolored or no color monuments. You could play it against the gift decks. You could play it against any decks that are running artifacts. It's great against the mono black control artifact, the Karn decks, those kinds of things. Lots of things to keep in mind there for this one. But obviously, again, the big play is if they're running Graph Diggers, you're going to pull this one in. Then we have Witch's Vengeance. So a great board wiper here. Creatures of the creature type of your choice get -3/-3 till end of turn. So great against goblins. This is a great board wiper there. Great against elves decks as another one, and anything else that's kind of doubling up, like Merfolk or something like that. If you see those, lots of spots here. I would like to play this when you get more of a 2-for-1. So you could play it against a mirror match, but you're not going to necessarily get as much value out of it. Then we got Reclamation Sage here. So here, when this creature enters the battlefield, we may destroy target artifact or enchantment. Again, anyone that runs or boards in Graph Diggers against you, this is great against the Auras decks, UW, or Azorus, or Orzhov. Big plays there. Then we have Languish. So Languish, all creatures get -4/-4 till end of turn. This you're going to want to run against the Elves decks. You're going to run this against Goblins decks. You're going to be careful though, because you're going to hit your own stuff. Getting your own stack engines going first is going to be a good idea. I don't like this against Auras decks. I think it's a little slow, just my opinion there. Other decks that have some sort of like a go wide strategy or loading the board rather quickly, Languish is a good one for you there too. Then we got Chandra, Torch of Defiance. So here's another big newcomer coming out of Kaladesh. So our +1, we get to exile the top card of our library. We may cast that card. If we don't, Chandra, Torch of the Defiance deals 2 damage to each opponent. We can get additional pump there by adding 2 red with the +1. We can also down 3 Chandra for 4 damage to target creature. And last but not least, if we make it to 7, we get whenever we cast a spell, this emblem deals 5 damage to any target. So super nasty there. Very powerful. Lots of things that we can do with this one. I like it in almost any matchup, to be honest. Gives you a lot of different outs and a lot of things that can happen at a turn 4 pace or sooner, given kind of your ramp or whatever you're doing in this deck. Then last but not least, we got a Bolas's Citadel. Again, we already talked about this card. I like it in the mid-range, late game matchup. I like it in the mirrors. I don't like it as much against some more pure aggro decks like elves. I don't like it as much against goblins, those kinds of things. But in the more the kind of pace matches, this one's going to be a little bit better for you to include. So something like a UW, something more like a dimmer control deck. And I don't mind it against, even honestly, against something like a mono white prison. But you just got to make sure that you have your Rex Sage or something in there to kind of break that boundary too if you go that late. Also not bad against Sultai mid-range, depending on how you want to play that lineup too. So Planeswalkers, that was the sideboard. We're going to talk about now how we pull these together for the guide in terms of the aggro, the mid-range, and the late game matches. So first up in the aggro, again, we're going to be thinking about fast speed decks. I'm going to try and burn you down fast, like mono red goblins, mono red aggro, Gruul decks, those kinds of things. Even you could consider some of the Auras decks as well. So mainly creature focused heavy. I'm going to probably pull in Blood Chief's Thirst. Depending on if they are green or white, you could always pull in Noxious Grass. So if you're playing the Auras decks, this might be the one to go with. I already got a Thoughtseize, so I may be okay there. Ember Shieldbreaker if they do sideboard on us. Witch's Vengeance if it's goblins, those kinds of things. And then again, you could always go a top end with Chandra. So realistically, let's say we're going to bring in 3 to 4 here, just because it's really going to vary and we got so many options here. What I would do is honestly, I'd probably look to remove Scavenging Ooze unless they're using Graveyard. I'd maybe even take out 2 one Corvold, maybe even a Bullis Citadel. Like I said, you want it to be a fast match. So that's 3 there. You could always drop a Thoughtseize if you wanted to as well, because we do have a really, really strong pull here up front. So that's kind of how I would look to move things out. That is 4. The other thing you could always consider if you wanted to is a land as well. You guys know I'm very aggressive in that space as well. The other thing you could do too is if they are pounding you with a lot of damage, you could always drop Midnight Reaper so that you're not dealing some of that self-damage. If you wanted to keep the ooze around to get a chance to gain some life back, but you do have Trail of Crumbs, you got a lot of food that you can eat. All right, no pun intended. All right, next here we're going to talk about the mid-range. So those mid-range matches are going to be kind of the mirror match. It's also going to be those Sultai control decks, or sorry, Sultai mid-range. And then you could consider some of these other ones in there too, like a 4-color. And you're going to have to watch out for that one, because the 4-color Yasharn decks are going to be very hard for this to beat. They've kind of fallen out recently, which is why the sacrifice decks are doing so well again. But so with that said, if they're creature heavy, you could go Blood Chief's Thirst. If they're not, then don't worry about it. You might want to play Thoughtseize in this one. You could consider Noxus Grasp here for sure if you are playing kind of that Sultai version. Ember Shieldbreaker, again, just be aware of. Witch's Vengeance, you're probably not going to play. Reclamation Sage, potentially. Languish, probably not, to be honest. Chandra's Torch of Defiance, maybe, and Bullis' Citadel, maybe. So again, 4 to 6. If they're not running a lot of creatures, you can dump the Fatal Pushes if you wanted to. I would move in, again, like I said, a Thoughtseize, a Noxious Grasp, potentially, if they are running those Planeswalkers. And then Reclamation Sage and Ember Shieldbreaker if you need to get some of those artifacts out. So just some considerations there. What you're not going to want to touch, though, is you're going to keep Cauldron Familiar, you're going to want to keep Gilded Goose, and you want to keep Witch's Oven, and definitely Mayhem Devil and the Trail of Crumbs. Where I'd look to move, like I said, are definitely these ones every time to kind of give you that blend. Those are some thoughts for you there in terms of kind of how to move things around. You do have one Bullis' Citadel. You could always drop a Corvold, kind of move it more inward, and then pull in those Bloodthirsts or those Thoughtseize to kind of control that deck early game. And you could always keep that ooze to get stuff on their sideboard, particularly if they're running that Sultai mid-range. You're going to want to get those Euros out of there. Last but not least, we'll move into more of the late game, which tend to be the heavy control decks or board wiper decks. These are the UW or Azorus control deck that Brad Barkley ran. So hats off to him. Things that you could run there, again, I would maybe consider moving these in. Maybe Reclamation Sage, maybe Ember Shieldbreaker, Noxious Grasp probably, and Thoughtseize, and maybe even a Blood Chief. You can move out your Fatal Pushes. You could move out your Scavenging Ooze potentially. You may want to keep one Midnight Reaper, and you're probably going to want to keep the higher end there too. So that should give you some good ideas in terms of what to move around. Again, these are going to be more of those late game. It could be a dimmer control type deck. I do see those once in a while. Burn decks could fall into this category depending on how that player's playing. There tend to be still pretty fast decks, but if they are running a burn, a lot of these things will do just fine as well. You're just going to want to make sure that you're dropping creatures all the time too. So Planeswalkers, with that said, that is the how-to in terms of lineup matches against aggro, mid-range, and late game, and how I would kind of move things around given some of the considerations in theory here and how we would play. Additionally, if you do, again, have questions or comments about the deck tech or the gameplay or whatever, please let me know down below in the description. Happy to help, or sorry, in the comments, happy to help. And then also in the description is Discord server link. So let's go ahead here. We're going to play with the number 2 Jund Sacrifice deck in our best of 1 and best of 3 Mythic matches today. Hats off once again to JS2 on the rank. So let's go ahead and hop into it right away. We're going to go into our historic rank. So yesterday I did run the Sultai mid-range deck. You guys should check that one out. I actually did do a run through already, and unfortunately for some reason my volume wasn't recording. So this time hopefully it worked. I think we're good because I got it fixed before I tried and tested. So anyway, with that said, let's hop into it. All right, and we're off for our first best of one match here, Planeswalkers. Before we check out what we got going on against Hunter9907332, just want to say thank you. As always, please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it, and feel free to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. All right, so we go first. I'm actually going to keep this. Unfortunately, we don't have a good start in terms of what I'll say. A sack outlet. No, we're not going to waste that yet. Well, yeah, that's fine. Can't be blocked. There we go. Now we're gonna do some damage. So I think we can get both here. I gotta think the play through though. So I think it's this. I think it's this. I think we do that. I think we go here. Then it's this. Black. Boom, there we go. Cleared the board. Cleared the board. Oh, we got another one. We will pay 2, play a trail, certainly bring that in. We can grab another one. There we go. Now we got the engine in full gear. definitely had lethal next turn. Oops, we're gonna do that. Go create the food. Oh. Didn't do what I was trying to do. It's fine. I misplayed there. Probably going to cost me the game. What I meant to do was play the Thoughtseize in that turn, but we didn't get to it. I was trying to tap 2. Yeah, it didn't work. My mana base wasn't. I couldn't do it with the Gilded Goose. Alright. Alright, we're good anyway. Whew! Alright. Off to a good start here in best of 1 against a green Selesnya Enchantments deck. Moving into the 94%. Alright. Let's go ahead now and play our second best of 1 match here, Planeswalkers. Ooh, historic. Find all kinds of interesting things here. So we got to see the engine run a little bit there. I was happy about that. So we got Carlos here at 91%. We are not on the play. Uh-oh. Oh, man. It's going to be a long match, so we're not on the play. Well, while we're waiting, my friends, big key to this deck, obviously you guys got to saw that engine. You need some sort of sacrifice outlet or draw engine moving. And one of the things I didn't mention was this particular deck doesn't focus on the stealing of your opponent's guys and then sacking them in the traditional format here. So we'll see what's going on. Uh-oh. There we go. We do have the Fatal, we do have the Mayhem, we do have the Trail of Crumbs, so I'm going to try it. Alright, so we got a mono black aggro deck. I'm gonna do this now just in case. The double knight could be tricky here for us. Get that guy out. So in this version, really in the best of one, if you're playing the claims, probably gonna do a nice job. So we're not gonna have enough for Corvold. Three would be 5. It's not lethal. So how are we going to do this? One away from that. I'll get to 3. I don't think I'll get to 4. It's not going to matter here. Not going to matter. So they have lethal all the way around. You could have, there you go. You got it. All good. So won the first match, lost the second match, didn't have a good lineup there, but good ways to see the deck. We did see Corvold get in as well, which is something that I wanted to do. Let's go into best of 3 here and give this a nice little run. Now, quickly, Planeswalkers, as always, huge thank you. Truly appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. All right, getting down paired against Kaz 29 here. Waiting on our opponents, so they get to go first. Other ways to support the channel, down below in the description. I got the server there for the Discord as well if you guys want to jump in, and then always appreciate patrons and YouTube members as well. Thanks everyone for your support. Truly, truly appreciate it. All right. So we got a good engine here. I'm going to keep this. All right. Could be BO1. We'll most certainly put this guy in. So I got a lot of stuff they can do here if it's Grixis. I'm going to be playing a control-heavy match, so we're going to have to think on our feet a little bit differently. Alright, so we'll take that. So we can do this. We can do this. Oh, counter, huh? No. Very good. So we can do... We'll go decline. All right. So I did that to get that on the board, and then I can play around it hopefully a little bit. We'll see what they got going on here. There we go. All right. We are good on that. So let's think about how we want to play here. So green or white's not going to hit. Thoughtseize we're going to want. Let's bring in Chandra. We're probably going to need Shield Breakers. I'm going to guess they're going to play. They might not play Gravso. So we'll wait one turn. If we see them, then we'll bring in those guys. I'm going to bring in this guy. Fatal Push, I don't think we're going to need. We didn't see anything that we needed it against. So I'll bring Bloodthirst in. So this is what we're going to board in for now. And we'll go with that. So this is shifting from and into kind of a late game matchup for us here against Cost 29. And we did that on the draw, which was nice. So hopefully we can replicate. Again, not bad, so we'll keep this. Grab that first. Ooh. Good thing we got another one. So, they did bring in Graph. Ooh, and Ashion. There you go. want to raise.
Behold, my epilogue.
Ooh. There we go. Alright, double fancies. That guy's gone. Sacrifice an island. Exile 5 target cards from opponent's graveyard. 6. We can pull it out if we want to, too. We'll grab a Corvold.
I enjoy a challenge. I lost
There we go.
my appetite.
So 5 cards. I think we're okay, my friends, against the Grixis here. We'll see. Oh, here we go. That's going to close it in for us. Grab our food. Grab another one of these guys. So the one thing that will get us is if they have that Shadows Verdict. Oh, I just called that too. So what we need to pull here is we'll do one of these guys. Oh, I did that wrong. Because I could have kept him on. That's still going to be 1. We'll leave that up for now. So what I could have done, and should have done. I'm mad about that. It's a great, great top deck answer for them. No, we got it. Alright, so that finishes out our best of 3 today. We did get to see everything. For the most part with the deck, we got a great loop going there for the sacrifice. So we split the best of 1 and we won the best of 3. So with that said, Planeswalkers, we will call it a day. Here's what we have again. Number 2, Jund Sacrifice deck by JS2. Very, very lovely here. Again, we talked about the main board, we talked about the sideboard, we talked about how you pull these two together for each of the kind of different decks you may face across the aggro to late game. So you guys can absolutely go back and check that out. If you do have questions or comments or thoughts, let me know down below. Happy to help. Additionally, in the description is the Discord channel, so you guys can feel free to hop in there as well. Lastly, Planeswalkers, huge thank you again. I really appreciate your support. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel down over there. Additionally, like the video if you like it. You can like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, stay up to date on daily content like this. Otherwise, support the channel down below in the description. Appreciate all the patrons and the members as always. So, all right, Planeswalkers, again, great deck, super awesome, excels in that early to mid-range kind of game, holds up against that late game. We did have some problems with that second match there, but that is how it goes. So until next time, Planeswalkers, stay safe, stay tuned. We do have a lot more content coming your way, and additionally tier lists coming out soon. So take care. I'll see you again. Mythras out, and until next time, Planeswalkers.